I'm not leaving unless you fire me. Those 7 words changed everything when a desperate single father took a job he couldn't afford to lose. He walked into a mansion made of glass and ice, serving a CEO who hadn't smiled in 2 years. She tested him, broke him down, pushed him to quit, but he had a 6-year-old daughter counting on him, and failure wasn't an option. What started as his survival became something neither of them expected. Before we begin, hit that like button and comment your city below so I can see how far this story travels. Now let's dive in. The envelope was thin. Too thin. Ethan Cole held it between his grease-stained fingers, standing under the flickering fluorescent lights of Mike's auto repair, and he already knew what it said before he tore it open. The paper inside was crisp, formal, and devastating. Due to restructuring and financial constraints, we regret to inform you that your position has been terminated effective immediately. 15 words. That's all it took to pull the floor out from under his life. He read it twice, then a third time, as if the letters might rearrange themselves into something kinder. They didn't. Hey, Ethan. Mike appeared from the back office, wiping his hands on a rag that had probably been white once. His expression said he'd been dreading this conversation for days. Look, man. I'm sorry. I really am. You're the best mechanic I've got. But the numbers just don't. It's fine. Ethan interrupted quietly, folding the letter and slipping it into his jacket pocket. His voice was steady, even if his hands weren't. I understand. He didn't understand. Not really. But what good would arguing do? Mike shifted his weight, guilt written across his weathered face. If things pick up next quarter, you'll be the first person I call. I mean that. Ethan nodded, though they both knew next quarter was a long way off and rent was due in 11 days. Yeah, thanks, Mike. He walked out into the Los Angeles afternoon heat, the sun beating down on cracked asphalt and forgotten strip malls. His truck, a 2004 Ford with rust eating through the wheel wells, sat alone in the corner of the lot. He climbed inside, pulled the door shut, and sat in the silence for 30 seconds. He let himself feel it. The panic, the weight pressing down on his chest. The mental math he'd been doing for weeks that no longer added up. Rent, $1,400. Lily's school tuition, $620. 2 months overdue. Groceries, utilities, gas. His checking account balance, $287. Then he pulled his phone from his pocket and opened his photos. The first image was Lily at the park last Sunday, grinning with a missing front tooth, her dark curls wild in the wind. She'd been spinning on the tire's swing, laughing so hard she could barely breathe. And she'd made him promise that they could come back next weekend. He stared at that smile until his breathing steadied. Okay, he whispered to the empty cab. Okay, figure it out. He had to. The apartment was quiet when he got home. That wasn't unusual. Lily was still at aftercare until 5:30. But tonight, the silence felt heavier. He dropped his keys on the chipped laminate counter and stood in the narrow kitchen, scanning the space like he was seeing it for the first time. Peeling linoleum. A fridge that hummed too loud. Water stains on the ceiling from the unit above. A table with one wobbly leg that he'd been meaning to fix for 6 months. This was what he'd been holding together. This tiny, broken-down corner of the world where his daughter slept safely every night and believed her father could fix anything. He opened the pantry. Half a box of spaghetti, a can of tomato sauce, some crackers, peanut butter. For days, maybe 5 if he stretched it. His phone buzzed. A text from the school's billing office. Your account is now 60 days past due. Please contact us to discuss payment arrangements or Lily may not be able to continue attending. His jaw tightened. He typed back, I'll have it by the end of the week. A lie. But what else could he say? Another buzz. This one from his landlord. Rent due March 1st. No exceptions this month, Ethan. He didn't reply to that one. Instead, he sat down at the wobbly table, opened his laptop and started searching. Craigslist. Indeed. LinkedIn. Anything. Warehouse associate. Night shift. Delivery driver. Must have clean record. Line cook. Experience required. He applied to 12 jobs in 40 minutes. Each one a long shot. Each one barely enough to cover the basics, even if he got them. And none of them started immediately. By the time he picked Lily up from aftercare, his smile was back in place. Daddy. She sprinted across the parking lot and crashed into his legs, wrapping her small arms around his waist. Hey, bug. He scooped her up, kissed her forehead. Good day. We made volcanoes with baking soda and vinegar and red food coloring, and mine exploded everywhere. And Mrs. Parker said it was the biggest one she'd ever seen. That's my girl. Always going big. She chattered the whole drive home about volcanoes, about her best friend Sophia's new backpack, about the class hamster who escaped and hid in the reading corner. Ethan listened, nodded, asked questions, and didn't let her see the knot in his stomach. At dinner, spaghetti again. She looked up at him with those wide, trusting eyes. Daddy, can we go to the Science Museum on Saturday? Sophia went last week, and she said they have a whole room about space. He twirled spaghetti around his fork, buying time. We'll see, Lil. I might have to work. You always have to work. It wasn't accusatory, just factual. And somehow that made it worse. I know, he said softly. But that's how I make sure we have what we need. You get that, right? She nodded, chewing thoughtfully. You work hard so we can stay together. His chest tightened. Exactly. After she went to bed, he sat alone in the dark living room, laptop open, still searching. The glow of the screen was the only light. And then he saw it. Live-in personal assistant needed. Private residence, Beverly Hills. Immediate start. Competitive salary plus room and board. Serious inquiries only. He almost scrolled past it. Beverly Hills wasn't his world, but the words immediate start and room and board made him pause. He clicked. The listing was sparse. No photos, no name, just a brief description. Seeking reliable, discreet individual to provide full-time assistance to private client. Duties include household management, scheduling, personal support. Must be adaptable, professional, and available 24/7. Prior caregiving experience preferred, but not required. Background check mandatory. At the bottom, a single line. Compensation, for $1,500 per month, plus private accommodations. Ethan read it 3 times. For $1,500. That would cover everything. Rent, tuition, food, everything, and then some. But live in? 24/7? He glanced toward Lily's bedroom door. She was asleep in there, curled up under her unicorn blanket, trusting that tomorrow would be okay because Dad always made it okay. He clicked apply before he could talk himself out of it. 2 days later, his phone rang from a number he didn't recognize. Mr. Cole. The voice was crisp, professional, female. This is Simone Reyes calling on behalf of MS. Victoria Langford. We received your application for the assistant position. Are you still interested? Ethan sat up straighter. Yes, absolutely. Good. Miss Langford would like to meet with you tomorrow at 2 p.m. I'll text you the address. Please be punctual. I will. Thank you. The call ended before he could ask any questions. The next afternoon, Ethan stood outside a gate in the Hollywood Hills, staring up at a house that didn't look real. Glass and steel and sharp angles built into the hillside like something out of a magazine. The gate slid open silently, and he drove his rattling truck up a pristine driveway that probably cost more than his entire yearly salary. A woman in a black suit met him at the door. Simone, presumably. Mr. Cole, follow me. She led him through a foyer with marble floors and 20-foot ceilings, past rooms that looked like museum exhibits, untouched, perfect, cold. They stopped in a sitting room overlooking the city. Floor-to-ceiling windows framed Los Angeles like a postcard, and then she appeared. Victoria Langford. She moved into the room with controlled precision, her wheelchair almost silent against the polished floor. She was younger than he expected, maybe late 30s, with sharp features, dark hair pulled back severely, and eyes that assessed him in 3 seconds flat. She didn't smile. Sit, she said. Ethan sat. Victoria positioned herself across from him, hands folded in her lap. Her posture was perfect. Her gaze was unreadable. You're not what I expected, she said. What did you expect? Someone with experience. A resume that makes sense. References from similar positions. Ethan met her eyes. I don't have any of that. I know. I read your application. Auto mechanic. No formal caregiving background. No degree. She tilted her head slightly. So tell me, Mr. Cole, why should I hire you? He could have lied. Could have dressed it up. But something about the way she looked at him, like she'd see through anything false, made him tell the truth. Because I need this job more than anyone else you'll interview, he said quietly. I've got a 6-year-old daughter. I lost my job 3 days ago. We're 2 months behind on her school tuition, rent's due in a week, and I've got maybe 4 days of food in the house. I'm not going to quit. I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to let you down because if I do, my kid suffers, and that's not an option. Silence. Victoria's expression didn't change, but something flickered behind her eyes. You have a daughter, she repeated. Yes. And you'd be willing to live here full-time. If it means I can provide for her, yes. She wouldn't live with you. I know. I'd visit her every night, put her to bed, make sure she knows I'm still there. Victoria studied him for a long moment. Then she turned her wheelchair slightly, gazing out at the view. I had 12 people apply for this position, she said. Most of them quit within the first phone call when they realized what the job actually entails. The rest didn't make it past Simone's screening. What does the job entail? She looked back at him. Me. Ethan waited. I don't need someone to pity me, Mr. Cole. I don't need someone to treat me like I'm fragile or inspirational. I need someone competent, reliable, and invisible when necessary. I need someone who won't quit the first time I'm difficult. And I promise you, I will be difficult. I've raised a 6-year-old on my own for 4 years, Ethan said evenly. Difficult doesn't scare me. A ghost of something, amusement, respect, crossed her face. You won't last a week living in this house, she said calmly. Ethan didn't blink. I'm not leaving unless you fire me. Another silence, longer this time. Then Victoria nodded once. You start Monday. Simone will send you the contract. Read it carefully. Sign it. Be here at 7 a.m. She turned her wheelchair and began to leave. Miss Langford, Ethan called. She paused. Thank you. She didn't turn around. Don't thank me yet. That night, Ethan sat on the edge of Lily's bed, watching her sleep. Her small chest rose and fell, peaceful and trusting. He brushed a curl away from her forehead. I'm going to fix this, he whispered. I promise. Monday morning, he pulled his truck up to that glass mansion again, a duffel bag in the passenger seat containing everything he owned that mattered. Simone met him at the door. Your room is on the second floor, east wing. You'll have your own bathroom. Meals are provided. Your schedule starts immediately. She handed him a tablet with a list of tasks. 6 a.m. Prepare breakfast. Black coffee, 2 scrambled eggs, wheat toast. Plated precisely. 7 a.m. Morning physical therapy session. Assist as needed. 8:30 a.m. Review daily schedule. Confirm all appointments. The list went on. Every hour accounted for, every detail specified. Ethan nodded. Got it. One more thing, Simone said, her voice dropping slightly. Ms. Langford values privacy and precision. Do not ask personal questions. Do not overstep. Do your job. Nothing more. Understood. She left him in the hallway. Ethan stood there for a moment, looking at the mansion around him, the art on the walls, the silence, the cold perfection of it all. Then he got to work. The first 3 days were a test. He knew it immediately. The coffee was too weak. He remade it. Then it was too strong. He adjusted. Breakfast was plated wrong. Toast on the left, not the right. He fixed it without comment. Victoria said nothing. Just watched him with those sharp, unreadable eyes, waiting for him to snap, to argue, to fail. He didn't. On the 4th day, she knocked a full glass of water off the table during lunch. It shattered across the marble floor, glass and liquid everywhere. Ethan looked up from where he was setting down her plate. Victoria met his gaze, her expression blank. Clean it up. No apology, no acknowledgement. He grabbed a towel, knelt down, and carefully picked up every shard of glass. He wiped the floor until it gleamed. Then he refilled her water and set it down slightly farther from the edge this time. Thank you, he said quietly. She blinked. For what? For testing me. Now you know I'm not going anywhere. Something shifted in her eyes. Surprise, maybe. Or respect. She didn't knock anything over again. By the end of the first week, Ethan had learned the rhythms of the house. Victoria woke at 5:30. She worked out in the private gym for an hour, physical therapy exercises that left her exhausted and silent. Breakfast at 7 o'clock. Business calls from 8 until noon. Lunch alone. Afternoon meetings, virtual or in person. Dinner at 7 o'clock. Then she disappeared into her office until late into the night. She rarely smiled, rarely spoke beyond instructions, but Ethan noticed things. The way her hands trembled after a long therapy session. The way she gripped the armrests of her wheelchair when pain spiked. The way she stared out the windows late at night, like she was searching for something she'd lost. He didn't ask. He just learned where she kept her pain medication. How she liked her coffee when she was stressed versus when she was focused. The exact angle she preferred her chair positioned during video calls. He became invisible when she needed space, present when she didn't. And every night, no matter how late, he drove across town to Lily's apartment where his neighbor, Mrs. Chun, watched her in exchange for help with her groceries and tucked his daughter into bed. Did you have a good day, Bug? Uh-huh. We learned about fractions. I don't like them. Nobody does. But you'll get it. When are you coming home for real? His chest tightened. Soon, I promise. He'd write her a story, kiss her forehead, and slip out before she saw the exhaustion on his face. Then he'd drive back to the mansion and fall asleep in a bedroom bigger than his entire old apartment, wondering how long he could keep this up. 3 weeks in, everything changed. It was 2 a.m. Ethan was asleep when he heard it. A sound that didn't belong. A gasp. A choked breath. He was out of bed in seconds, pulling on a shirt as he moved down the hallway. Victoria's bedroom door was cracked open. Light spilled out. He knocked softly. Miss Langford. No answer. Just another sharp intake of breath. He pushed the door open. She was in bed, upright, gripping the sheets with white knuckles. Her face was pale, slick with sweat, and her whole body was trembling. I'm fine, she bit out, though her voice shook. Leave. Ethan didn't leave. He'd seen this before. Not exactly this, but close enough. Lily at 3.